we can make a start. Hopefully we'll find some more people who are able to join us in a few seconds, but let's not prolong the start any longer. So yeah, a warm welcome from me to the session. My name is Stefan Kreuzer. I'm the TechUp Network coordinator in the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership. I suspect most of you will have already participated in the preceding TechUp sessions, so hopefully you're already a bit familiar with the AEIP project. So I will just maybe say a few words here very briefly. So the AEIP is a pilot project that was launched by the European Commission 2 years ago and is coming to an end this September. And in this conference, we want to take stock of the various initiatives that we launched within the AEIP, including a thematic challenge on food waste that we launched for the technology hubs from Africa and Europe that we connected through the AEIP. And so this is what we want to discuss in this session. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Hope you can see that. All right. So yes, a bit of context for you. What is the Food Waste Challenge? The Food Waste Challenge is one of 3 thematic challenges that we launched within the AEIP network. It actually builds on a previous initiative we launched, also tackling food waste and loss in another network with South Asian partners. That's why we also have South Asian and Indian in particular startups connected through this initiative. But now the focus is, of course, on connections between African and European partners. And yeah, the aim of the food waste and loss thematic challenge is to use this topic, which of course is linked to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as an anchor and way to focus collaborative activities between tech hubs in the network, because sometimes when you are in a group of several dozen tech hubs from all over Europe and all over Africa, it may be quite difficult to establish common ground or to identify shared interests, shared focal areas. And so we wanted to use this topic to bring together or identify those tech hubs and startups in our community who are working in similar fields, maybe on similar and compatible technologies, and to, this way, bring them all in. So, yeah, why did we choose food waste? Food waste and loss is a topic of global concern. According to some statistics, up to 1/3 of all food produced globally is lost before consumption. So yeah, this is clearly a topic of some urgency, and it's also something that is highlighted as an important priority area in the African Union's Agenda 2063. So it also has it has a political backing in Africa. Of course, we wanted to just use this as a starting point to also connect more widely startups in the agri-tech sector. So we look at this not just in terms of food waste, strictly speaking, but also agri-tech startups. Any startup trying to increase food security, reducing environmental impact of food production would also be considered relevant. So as I said, last year we had already set up this initiative between European and Indian entities, and then this year in January, so about 6 months ago, we started expanding the Food Waste Challenge and platform to our AEIP network, so to African and European startups and tech hubs in this network. So we started by launching a call for expression of interest to which both tech hubs could respond, and then they were invited to send us portfolio startups that they support and work with, who operate in this field, who work on solutions to tackling food waste and loss. And these were shared with us in a standardized profile, which greatly facilitated the matchmaking to identify which startups could work together potentially. Based on the startups we received, which were about 40 something at the time, we then went on to cluster them into 5 categories. So startups working on smart farming, those working on food processing, logistics and packaging, supply chain management, and waste management and recycling. Yes, it's important to note, I would say, that we continue to provide support to the food waste community in the AEIP until this September. So for those of you who are members or who have joined this platform, you can still definitely reach out to us, to the EU AEIP team over the next few months to let us know how we can support you. And then, of course, we hope that the food waste platform will not just come to an end in September, but we've already put in place some steps to ensure its continuity. As mentioned in the previous session, we have several follow-on initiatives, including the Enrich in Africa initiative, but also Boost Africa, which can provide funding in areas such as agri-tech. And we will hear from 2 more initiatives in this session later on, who also work in this sector and are looking to support agri-tech and food startups. So there's definitely interest among multilateral institutions and stakeholders in supporting this field, and I hope you can all take advantage of that. So yeah, here in the bottom, you just see a few numbers on the food waste platform. So as you can see, we have quite a lot of African startups, but we also have some from Europe and more from India in this challenge. And of course, we always welcome also new startup profiles that can be sent to us. So please reach out to us if you have any, if you're working on relevant solutions. So yeah, out of the profiles we received, we identified 44 matches between either European and African or European and Indian or Indian and African startups. So it's more like a triangular approach. And you can see here that quite a lot of them operate in food processing and supply chain management, and some also in waste management, smart farming, and logistics. Okay, so much for that. And I think this is maybe enough for a brief introduction on the food waste platform. If you have questions related to the food waste platform, feel free to post them directly into the chat, and then we can take them after the presentations. But for now, I would like to invite several of the startup matches or pairs that were brought together through the food waste platform over the last few months to share with us their experience, their story, how they ended up collaborating, and also what their plans are for the future, and also what needs they have for external support. This session will be recorded, so all the information shared and provided here we can make available later on. And with that, I would like to hand over to our first startup presenter, Eugene Borti from FarmSmart in Ghana. Please, I'll give you the floor.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. With FarmSmart, basically, our main aim was to help farmers in the precision way of farming using the IoT technology. The geographical area of Ghana farms are mainly in the forest zone, or where network possibly could be a challenge when we are talking about smart farming. So our first approach, we had a workable MVP, but we had challenging with networking. We had to change the model and get closer to farmers that are in the cosmopolitan area where we could have network. And that led us to the aquaculture value chain. With FarmSmart and Axmatic have worked on some few parameters on pH. We have also worked on the case study on the fisheries industry in Ghana, look at their main problems, of which what led us to this decision was a case study that happened in a fish farm. Within 2 days, he has almost all the fingerlings and fries dead because there were contamination in the quality of the water, and he has to move it from the farm to the water and sanitation department in the municipal, and that could take a day for the result to come. So it takes a 3 working day, and by the time he get the result as to what was wrong with the hatchery, all the fries were dead. So if we could have a real-time data collection for that farmer, they'll be much interested in. That same complex also has a bunch of farmers who come for training. So using this model, we hope to collaborate, especially with people who are in the value chain in the IoT technology for smart farming. And most importantly, our bottleneck was calibration to meet the international standards. So the data we take in Ghana, in India, in anywhere of the world should represent the data that should be taken anywhere. If you are presenting our data for any international collaboration, we know our data is very good and we can work with. Currently, we have the farmers ready to use the application, and we are only modifying how best the application could work in the farming. So with the hatchery, we know they will have an electricity, probably they will have an internet connection. If there is no internet connection, we will use the data logger system. And with this, we hope we can reduce the fish loss as a result of the water contamination within the shortest possible time. So thank you, and if anybody have any question, I can relate and answer them specifically.
Thank you very much, Orjin. Do we have any questions or comments at this point? If so, please raise your hand and then we can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself, or you can also put the questions into the chat if you prefer, and then we can read them out. Otherwise, if there are no questions at this point, we would continue with the next presentation. And then, of course, you can still add questions to the chat later on, and we can take them up later on. So the next example we want to hear, after we heard now from this example of fishery, the next one will be on another example of a collaboration between an Indian and an African startup, this time from Nigeria, I believe. And for this one, I would invite Constance and India to present briefly on your experience in collaborating with your Indian partners. So Constance, the floor is yours.
Okay, good day everyone. Our collaboration was more on processing, and our partnership was an interesting one. The match for me was a very interesting one, since Brixel Technology deals with products that help in facilitating and helping increasing fish growth and helps in boosting fish growth, like their humic fat product, their biofloc product, which is one of the major things we focus in aquaculture, in the agric business. Most farmers have issues in using products that are eco-friendly, products that don't pollute the environment, and that will at the same time help boost the growth of the fish. So Brixel Technologies produce products that are used as conditioners and that can be used to boost fish growth. thereby creating a kind of like availability of the fish, then boosting food security when it comes to fish food. Now, the interesting part is the Connie's farm. The Connie's farm is centered on fish production and processing. We use fish byproducts, we utilize all parts of the fish after harvest. Now, these two collaboration is really a nice one, as we tend to use Brixel products to test run here in Nigeria to see how good it's going to be for the product and for the farmers here, because we have different fish products. We have both the catfish and the tilapia fish, which are commonly cultured in Nigeria here. So the only things we know we will need, the things we definitely know we need is funding and support, and that's what every startup need. Funding and support to boost this collaboration and partnership, which is a very interesting one. So I want to plead with investors, with people in charge of funding that can support this this collaboration, as these Brixel products are really, really good for aquaculture. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Constance, for this presentation. And so, yes, if I understand you correctly from your example, you are using or you are helping deploy this technology from Brixels in Nigeria or in Africa, correct? So it's partly about market access. Maybe one question to you would be what you mentioned funding, of course, as a need. I think we have investors in this event today and tomorrow, so feel free to reach out to them via the platform. For instance, I know that Boost Africa is deploying some funding to African startups. But other than that, maybe what you can just also briefly mention what your next steps are in terms of market deployment for the technology provided by Brixels.
Okay. The technologies provided by Brixels are like the humid oil fat products. Like it's a kind of like a pond conditioner.
Constance, we can't hear you anymore. At least I cannot.
The products are being used to help. They're mostly used in eating pond. Should I plankton, which is mostly from feed. So if
unfortunately, Constance, you're breaking up for us. I think now she's actually dropped out of the call. Okay, hopefully she will be able to join us again in a few minutes. In the meantime, let's then hear from another partnership that was established through the food platform. Here, as you can see, this is quite international. We have partners here from 4 countries, both from India, Kenya, I believe, Nigeria, and Cyprus in Europe. So a partnership traversing 3 continents, which I think is quite impressive. So I'm very curious to hear from the presenters here about how this experience went. So I think we have here with us Akash Sharma from Family, who will present on this partnership.
I'm afraid they also just dropped out. So maybe we can first present or continue with the other slides and then come back and see if they make it back.
All right. Hopefully they will be able to rejoin us then in a second. So let's hear then from I need to go through a couple of slides, but I think we have. I'm not sure if do we have another presentation here?
No, then I would start with lead for FNSSA.
Okay. So let's see, hopefully they will be able to join us in a second. And in the meantime, while we wait for them, we also wanted to present to you two other, let's say, partners of the Foodwaste platform. First of all, so these are two partners who are not startups or tech hubs, but rather institutional partners who we reached out to and who expressed an interest in the Foodwaste platform and in working together with the AEIP. And they have, in some cases, also their own funding opportunities, or at least they can provide further access to relevant partners across Africa and Europe. So both of these partners, organizations, we actually have speakers and panelists who will be joining us tomorrow in the main conference. So you should also be able to reach out to them via the event platform if you want to get in touch. For today, actually, Teresa, my colleague Teresa, will be briefly introducing both of them. And then if you want to find out more, you can either directly contact them on the event platform, or you can join the panel discussion tomorrow on Foodwaste to hear from them directly. So with that, Teresa, I would like to hand over to you to say a few words about these two initiatives.
Okay, first I would like to introduce you. Maybe you could still stay with the slides, Stefan.
Oops, I just...
The mission of the... Can you hear me? Okay. The mission of the Innovation Accelerator is to nurture and scale sustainable innovations for increased food security by leveraging the WFP's brand partnership, deep field access, and expertise. They have a consortium of complementary partners, such as international organizations. They work together with CARE, but also with entrepreneur support organizations, such as Pangea. They work with academia and also with government agencies and other donors, such as USAID. They have a call for applications, which will launch in 2 to 3 weeks. And they will select up to 10 African startups with food system innovations, offering $150,000 in as grant capital. And they want to invest in kind technical assistance, training modules, and provide access to mentors and investors. But as Stefan already said, we will have a representative from the Innovation Accelerator in tomorrow's session during the panel. And the second one I would like to present is LEAP for FNSSA. FNSSA stands for Food and Nutrition Security and Sustainable Agriculture. They provide a tool for European and African institutions to engage in a sustainable partnership platform for research and innovation in this field of food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture. This way, they want to increase synergies and coherence between the different actors, between research and innovation projects, initiatives and programs, and want to develop institutional alliances and cluster projects. They have a well-established long-term sustainable partnerships within their network and also co-funding mechanisms. And on their website, you have the link here. You can find, for instance, a data bank where all the recently finished and ongoing projects are mapped in clusters. So you can inform yourself here about projects. And in general, Stefan Hafner is the contact or focal point. You can always reach out to him for more information. He will also be present in tomorrow's session.
Thank you, Teresa. I see that we have a few more people who joined our session. So welcome to those of you who just joined over the last few minutes. We just heard from a few startup pairs that were matched to the Foodwaste platform in the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership. And now we just heard from Teresa about 2 network partners, the UN World Food Programme Innovation Accelerator, who has a call that provides funding for startups that are working in food waste and loss. And one of their representatives, Leah Mackay, will join our event tomorrow. But you can also reach out to Jeremy Peak via the event platform, who was labeled as speaker for today's session, but unfortunately, for personal reasons, was not able to join us today. But you can still reach out to him via the platform. And you can see here for LEAP for FNSSA, if you want to become a part of that community, then you can also here reach out to Stefan Hafner. And we will also make the slides available after the event. I'm just going to check now if in the meantime we have someone from the, let's say, startup consortium that is shown here on the slide who would like to present about their experience.
If not, I can also step in and present if they, I saw them before, but I can't see them now in the list of participants, but I can jump in and tell you about the match. So in the beginning, it was first a match among 3 startups, Kupak from Cyprus, Victoria Agribusiness from Kenya, and Farmlay from India, which are all B2B platforms, so online or digital marketplaces connecting consumers and farmers. And this way they want to shorten the value chain to make it more efficient and thus reduce the food loss. So many of them created, as I said, digital marketplaces or web application technologies to make this supply chain management more efficient. And I participated also in several calls of the startups, and they identified first good practices. It was kind of a peer learning, what went well in the different countries and regions, but they also discussed topics such as how to improve the technologies and how to improve market access also. And in the meantime, they also connected to other startups in the platform, and this is how Daydone, also from Nigeria, joined. And they are now on their way of working on an MOU. They have already, the draft is ready, so to speak, and they also have an exhibition booth during the final event. So if you're interested in hearing more about this cooperation, please join the exhibition booth, or let me know if you're interested, then I can send you the contact details. But yeah, it's a success story of the food waste challenge.
Thank you, Teresa. Indeed, this is also something worth mentioning. So for tomorrow, the main day of the conference, besides plenary sessions that will take place throughout the entire day, you also have the opportunity to either schedule 15-minute or short networking sessions with individual participants to the event, or you can also visit one of, I think, 10 or 11 exhibition booths, virtually, of course. These booths, you can either also schedule one-on-one meetings with the exhibitors, or you can visit or attend one of their interactive information sessions where you and others can join simultaneously, listen to their presentation, and then ask them questions about their experience. And indeed, this consortium of 4 startups is one of the exhibitors where you can find out more tomorrow. So I think then we've heard from all the startup examples, and we just wanted to use the remaining time of about 15 to 20 minutes to have a discussion with you. we prepared just 2 questions. These are, of course, more linked now to the startups that entered into partnerships, but maybe for those of you who are maybe have not yet found a partner or even looked for a partner from the other continent to work on food waste together, these might still be relevant questions for you. We have 2 things here. You can either just click, I don't know if you've used Mentimeter before, it's just an online tool to quickly gather some feedback from the participants. So you can click on menti.com and use this code to enter into a room where you can basically type in a quick freestyle answer to those 2 questions. And then we can take a look together at your answers. But you can also, because we're a small group, I think we can be very informal. So you can also just now raise your hand if you would like to speak. Or you can also type in a question or a comment into the chat, and then we can discuss them together. And maybe, Teresa, you can also put the code into the chat box. While we wait for people to access menti.com, maybe someone already would like to speak. I saw in the chat that, for instance, Collins and Eugene, you seem to have some common ground in terms of using sensors and Internet of Things for waste management. Maybe you would like to expand on that. Or you can also just in general say, tell us why you have joined the session today. What links you to the topic of food waste? Why you consider this a relevant topic when it comes to collaboration between African and European innovators?
Okay. Going to give me the opportunity to give me more detail on why we connected today. As we started the value chain in agri in Africa, it's usually disjointed. With Farm Smart, we are currently working with the farmers to know there is a better way, easy way to do farming without having to incur a lot of loss or having to know the problems before disaster strike. In that sense, their risks will be reduced. More importantly, Farm Smart has been working with smallholder farmers in the northern part of Ghana. We are aggregating soya bean, of which most of the soya we do are not being processed locally. But usually we have to offtake it out of the country. We are working on starting a small fish feed manufacturing. We have gotten the land. We are trying to get a platform ready. We have the machine we've imported, which is should be, if all things being equal, in August. But currently with research and development, we are working with an agri college. We are working with individual academia in the universities, and we have a very good legal team to make sure all the work we are doing is much protected and should be a sustainable approach, because a lot of investment getting all this matchmaking locally. So connecting with any foreign partner, any donor funds, especially with the training we've been giving to the farmers also, could be a very big step to move from where we are, and hopefully we could benefit, the farmers could benefit in the all round. The food waste will be reduced to attain the sustainable development goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean, for this elaboration. In the meantime, I see that Bonfas Okuti has also managed to join us, so welcome. Bonfas, we had just already talked a little bit about your example of the partnership you have between Family Victoria Agribusiness, Daydan, and Coupage. But maybe you would like to also tell us a little bit more about your experience, because this is quite an unusual partnership, I believe, between African, Indian, and European startups in the field of food waste and loss.
Thank you very much. My name is Boniface Okute. I'm from Kenya. Now, I hope you are hearing me.
Yes.
Okay. Now, through the partnership that we've created, we are looking at a situation where it's now, we have developed an MOU, and it will be easier for a company like ours, which is based in Kenya. What we do in Kenya is that we aggregate fresh produce from smallholder farmers, and then we distribute to food vendors within the towns within Kenya. But all along, we have also been interested in doing export. And through this platform, we have been able now to sign an MOU, and soon we'll be able to also list some of our products in Daydan websites and platforms, so that we are able. There are a number of crops that they have identified that we can aggregate.
I think we have a connection problem.
Maybe Abdul Waris, do you want to add a few words from Daydan's perspective?
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Can everyone hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So to add to what one of our partners is saying is that we currently signed an MOU, and this will allow us to aggregate the produce on our website. Although we already have particular produce that we want to list on one another's website. So like that, we're able to provide enough market for this produce, hereby reducing food wastage in Africa and also in Europe, in that part of the country. And again, in my experience here in this part of the world, I believe that most of all these produce, all these agricultural produce, are lost during the distribution chain, because these farmers sells most of their farm produce at the farm gate. So, and because these farmers don't have enough facilities or enough money to distribute this product themselves, so they rely on the middlemen for distribution. And during this process, they sell their food produce at a very cheap price. And in fact, during that process, most of their produce are being lost. So one of the importance of our business model to connect the farmers to the consumers is to cut in the distribution chain, like to short that chain and to connect the farmers to the consumer, so the farmers can have better prices for their produce. And at the same time, they can easily sell their produce to a very large market, because we are also going to be aggregating the market for them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Abdul Waris. So we also, I think some people have already shared some feedback on the Mentimeter platform. So let me just share that as well with you, so we can discuss it together. Okay, so I hope you can see that. So in terms of the question, what are your plans for future collaboration on food waste and loss? Somebody mentioned market access, networking, and peer learning. I think these are all issues that are reflected in the case examples we already heard from today. And then more concretely, someone mentioned, I'm planning to collaborate with Tomra to introduce reverse vending machines and optical sorting technology to the waste management sector in Nigeria. Also, smart sensors would be deployed in waste bins and connected to Xrod for the IoT networks. Maybe, I'm not sure who put that comment there. Maybe would the person care to elaborate? I mean, what is this something you are concretely discussing? Is this something you more like an aspiration for the next, I don't know, 6 to 12 months, just so we get an idea, also a sense of what the timeline of future activities might look like. And then this is something, of course, that through the platform we can also share with network partners.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. It's Collins here from Nigeria. So basically, it's work in progress, say 6 to 12 months. And the idea is that there's a lot of food waste, there's a lot of plastic pollution, and the conventional method of managing waste is manual, and it's costly, it's not efficient. So we need to put smart technologies, to the test. So introducing reverse vending machines and getting people to recycle, getting people to change their behavior would actually minimize food waste. And so the whole idea is to get the machines set up in communities where that have been identified as major pollutants. Say maybe they've got rivers that are blocked up with plastics. They've got landfills, indiscriminate landfills and dumping of refuse. And so we would educate the communities about recycling, the benefits of recycling to the environment, and also the cost benefits to the entire economy and how it creates a circular economy when we recycle and conserve our natural resources that are being depleted. And there's also the potential for food for sorting, for actual proper sorting. So the food scraps could actually go to, say, a biogas chamber somewhere, and we could create new energy sources instead of just dumping it into landfill. And so we'd also plan to deploy smart waste bins that would be connected via IoT. And then I'm in talks with someone at the Nordic Institute of Interoperability, and they've got the Xrod that is able to do that connection for their whole IoT devices. So it's work in progress. So, I mean, it's not perfect. It's still, so I actually would appreciate collaboration from experts who are already in this field.
Thank you, Collins. Yes, indeed. If I understood you correctly, you are also looking for international partners to support you with this endeavor, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, feel free to reach out to us then and share your profile, because then we can also see if we have any partners who we could match you with in our cohort of food waste and loss startups from either Europe or South Asia or Africa.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thanks. And thank you for sharing your experience. I also see that no one has so far tried to answer the second question. What support do you need to implement the activities you envisage? So of course, this is also quite relevant. If you want to share any thoughts here, we can then pass these on, or we can see if this sort of matches your expectations, match also what some of the network partners can provide, such as the UN World Food Programme, Innovation Accelerator. I think that could be quite useful. But then I saw also here that there was another comment, so I'm just going to read it out. Food waste and losses due to lack of storage facilities, and my plan is to build storage facilities and using modernized storage, like use of refrigerators for perishable items and good transport facilities for goods to get to the consumer. Maybe the person who added that could also just say a few words about, is this a local project only, or are you also looking for international partners maybe to work on this solution? Maybe the person is no longer with us. Okay.
There's one question in the chat. Maybe we should elaborate on proper storage techniques and recycling systems, Africa most problem for aggregate profit? So maybe one of the topics that is important would be storage techniques and recycling systems in general, right? PC? I don't know. Post in the chat.
Yes, someone is here with PC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, if I may say something to that, storage. Yes, in my experience in the industry, I discovered that most especially for perishable goods, like more than 50% of perishable produce that are being produced by the farmers are lost every year. And what happens is that because these farmers don't have adequate storage facilities, they cannot store these things. So they just take everything to the market. And once they take them to the market like that, most of them will spoil. They will sell some of them at very cheap price that does not even pay them just to sell them off. So I believe that one of the ways that we can improve these storage facilities for them is to get at least enough adequate funding and have a lot of farmers so that we can understand their challenges very well and talk to farmers, talk to them so that we can know what they actually need. Because this perishable produce constitutes a very larger percentage of the food produce that has been lost every year. So I believe that if we can have a kind of partnership with other people, we can work together and work on the aspect of storage facilities. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment, Abdul-Waris. And yes, indeed, I mean, I'm just looking again at the 5 sectors that we initially, into which we clustered the startups that joined the Food Waste Challenge. And indeed, storage, it's sort of implied, I guess, in logistics and packaging, and maybe to some extent also in supply chain management, but we haven't actually defined it as an explicit separate cluster, but I think it's interesting to note that this is certainly a topic that many of you are putting an emphasis on. Right. Do we have anyone else who would like to come in before we close the session? Any further comments? I think there are still a few people in the room, so to say, who have so far not yet shared their own views, experience, or expectations. Isaac Moses, perhaps you are muted, but I'm not sure if you want to say something.
Hello.
Hello, Silas. Hi.
Yes, I'm Silas from Kenya.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. One need I can suggest maybe is technology area, area from the partners, and maybe idea exchange from what we use here, and maybe mentorship. Partners and our partner can be able to learn from us, and then we exchange the ideas so that we can help.
Silas, your connection seems to be breaking up, unfortunately. But I took away that you want to have an information exchange with other
wastage. Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So indeed, I mean, all of you are welcome to get in touch with us. After the session, we will let you know how we can actually, Teresa, maybe you could post the email address of the AEIP service facility into the chat, because this is the best way to reach us after this meeting. Exactly. Thank you. And so if you just send an email, I think there should be no gap between the E and the U, so just EU-Africa. If you just send an email to that email address with your, maybe with a link to your startup or your organization, and then we can see how we can support you, how we can bring you on board food waste platform. Maybe we can match you to one of the existing startups that are already in the portfolio. Or if you are a tech hub, you can also send us any profiles of startups you have that are working in this sector. Okay, and I think with that, we can probably leave it at that, and we will return now to the main stage, so to say. So thank you all for your participation in this session. And basically, now you can leave this Zoom call, and then you can go back to the event platform, and you can click on the session with the, I think it's called closing session for today. So basically, yes, it's just called summary of day one. So we will just want to come back together, reflect a bit on the discussions we had today, and then have a brief outlook for tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So you can also find the Zoom link in the chat now. So with that, I would exit this session, and then we hopefully see you back in the main stage, so to say. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Have a good day.